Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video tutorial. This will be the second board from Deception and Countermeasures in the Xiangqi Opening. Again, this will be a same direction cannons game, rank chariot versus file chariot. So without further ado, let us begin. Central cannon, same direction cannons. This is more commonly used, developing the horses for the second move to protect the central pawn. Again, red would choose to use the rank chariot variation, whose target of attack is usually the left flank. Black's right flank. Black counters with an R9 equals to 8 for the file chariot, cross palace chariot, riverbank chariot. Now this is more commonly used nowadays. It's considered to be orthodox because R8 plus 6 is not very efficient, and with R8 plus 4, Black would solidify his position, his presence on the riverbank, and allow for development of the horse later on. This chariot would also be used to deter any possible attacks by the red pieces. Black plays h8 plus 7. This is a very good move to consolidate the defense on the central file, and both colors would develop their horses as proper horses. Now this is a notable way of playing the same direction cannons in modern day. All these moves are considered to be tabia. Now red chose to attack this horse in this variation. This is okay. Now this would be a rapid attack. Now other options would include p3 plus 1, r9 plus 1, or c8 plus 2, and each would have different opening lines and tactical combinations to consider. Now by attacking the horse immediately, this horse will now be in danger. So how would black reply? Now in this board, black makes a very deceptive move with h7 minus 5 to protect the horse in preparation and actually encouraging red to attack to capture the pawn. Now another idea behind this move is that, say if red, after making this move, let's say if red played any other move, black would be prepared to capture the central pawn and thus capture the chariot with this discovered attack. So this would also be the position of discussion for the board. So two main lines were discussed. The first would be r6 equals to 7. The second would be r6 minus 2. Now with r6 equals to 7, red moves his chariot out of harm's way and actually pins the black horse, and indirectly pinning this horse. Now this would seem to be a ideal move to make, but unfortunately this would have fallen into black's trap. Black would now take advantage of this situation and counter attack immediately, and red would have his hands full. Because red had made this move, he would now have lost the initiative to black. So black could immediately start his counter attack, very aggressive, by retreating the cannon, preparing to move c2 attack the chariot. So again, red will move his chariot out of harm's way. So before we continue, let us count the number of moves that red had used to move his chariot. 1, 2, 4, 5. So out of 8 plies, red would have used up 5 plies just to move the chariot. Now this is a very important concept because red had used up too many moves to move the chariot, and this would be done at the expense of the development other major pieces. So in comparison, black could have moved all his pieces very evenly, and now black would start to reap his rewards. Black could refuse to trade cannons, because if he did, black would retreat. If c5 equals to 8, the black horse will now be ready to attack, threatening the chariot and also preparing to play h4 plus 6, etc. to attack. And if red tried to pin, see h5 plus 3 would threaten the chariot over here, and red will be all sorts of trouble. So that is why it would be better for black to retreat the chariot, but in doing so he will have moved his chariot yet another time, and this will result in a huge loss of tempo. h3 plus 4, preparing to attack, and can only play black can only play r9 plus 1. Now although black would now be better off, but black would have a sound game. Now if he played c5 equals to 4, black could threaten the lonely cannon. The chariot cannot protect the cannon, as this horse would have covered this intersection, and once the cannon moved away, or any move, it will now start a very powerful attack, forcing a check. And one possibility is to gain material with this combination, and red will be all sorts of trouble. p3 plus 1 is not a good idea either, because black could simply play p7 plus 1, trade, and after trading pawns, this horse would now not be in trouble because it will be unprotected. It does not have any good place to move. Cannot move here, otherwise it will be captured. If you move to the edge file, you will not have any good lines for further development, and the black horse will start to attack. So that is why c2 plus 6 is not a good idea. Instead, black would be better off keeping red's awkward position in an awkward situation. So yeah, there's nothing better for red to do, and he would have to try to capture the black chariot, and black can be only forced to trade material. Now if he played r8 minus 4, this would also result in loss of tempo. Black will start his attack. Red can only make this move, otherwise the red cannon could capture the horse, and this would be a fork, a double attack, and red will be in trouble. So if he tried to prevent himself from losing material, this is the only viable move, but in doing so, this horse would now jump out and attack the chariot. Black would have excellent development of his material, and red will fall further behind, because after 11 plies, we can see that red's horses had already moved, neither pawn had been pushed. The development of the horse, cannon, chariot will fall so far behind. That's why r8 minus 4 is not a good idea, and red had to reluctantly accept the trade of chariots. But before we continue, let us see how many moves the chariot had made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7. So 70% of red's moves were used to maneuver the chariot, only to be traded away by a black chariot that had only made one move. So the loss of tempo is tremendous, and black would actually be attacking the horse after trading the chariot. So the horse to move, start his campaign, developing the in this manner. Now black would double down his attack on red's central file. He would be prepared to trade material and use one cannon to pin. So black would have seized the advantage in this situation and have a huge lead. So this would bring us to the end of variation A. In variation B, because you can see capturing the pawn was not a good idea, the recommended move in this situation would be to actually retreat the chariot. Although this would be a loss in tempo, but red is compensated by the fact that black had also used one move to retreat the horse, and black would have to use one move later on to maneuver this horse or develop it further. So now at this point in time, red would have commanded very important lines. Black's position is awkward, his horses are ready to go, etc. So this is a very good move in this situation. So black tries to attack with c2 plus 2, which is very common in this situation. Now another option would be to play p3 plus 1, a possible line, p3 plus 1. Tries to trade away the chariot, and red makes this very brilliant move of p7 plus 1. If he accepted the trade, black would still be able to handle red's aggressions and escape unscathed. 7 plus 1, a very good move, sacrificing the pawn so that the horse would now be protecting the chariot. And it might seem that although black would have gained a pawn that crossed the river, but red would now be ready to wreak havoc because this horse will now be attacking very fast and furious. The elbow horse, for example, h4 plus 6, 6 plus 7, or h4 plus 2, followed by h2. Would be an enormous threat that black cannot ignore. So that is why p3 plus 1 is a good idea, but black would have initiative firmly in hand. So c2 plus 2. The idea behind this move is to play c2 equals to 3 to attack the horse, c2 equals 7 to attack this horse. 7 plus 1. Now black at this point was forced to dislodge the central cannon. He will have to opt for a more defensive position so that he could now develop the horse possibly from this into this intersection. Now if he tried to play h5 plus 7, this will result in a loss of 4. Red would not immediately threaten the horse. Black would now have the advantage firmly in hand. He will be prepared to play c6 plus 7 to threaten the chariot and Tuscan material. Play c2 equals to 7. Black would play h7 plus 8. Two things are done with this move. The cannon would now be able to protect this horse from attack and also prevent the black chariot from developing. So it would not be bothered to to horse. Instead he will develop his chariot and he will have the advantage in this position and also this position. Therefore black was forced to dislodge his central cannon. Since the horse and cannon were in this awkward position, red would now play r9 plus 1, h5 plus 7. Red starts his campaign from the central file. This is a very powerful move. Now, if play r9 equals to 4, this is a complicated situation. Black will be prepared. He will move the cannon over here so that this cannon would make use of this cannon as a cannon mount to attack the red chariot. But this would be an interesting variation. Red would try to trade chariots to establish his presence on the bank. But black could have other things in mind. He could play p7 plus 1, r4 8. Tries to consolidate his defense. p3 plus 1, a nice move. And black counters even better with p3 plus 1. Now this horse will be attacking the cannon, and so would this cannon. Now if red chose to attack, let's say if red chose to capture the cannon, the horse would now jump to the riverbank and attack the chariot, and this chariot would be forced to leave the riverbank, or the only move. Okay, r6 equals to 5 now. So despite the fact that this move was a good move and black might possibly lose material, but black will be able to handle the situation with ease and finesse, so to seize the initiative from black. Now this is a very interesting variation, and please do remember it. So instead of r9 equals to 4, red tries to attack from the central file, seeing that black has dislodged his central cannon. So 5, centrally linked horses. This is a commonly used tactic in Xiangqi. 5, p5 plus 1, attack. At this point in time, red would command the initiative. With this move, the chair will be prepared to attack this very vulnerable horse, and also capture the pawn, push the pawn forward, etc. to gain tempo. There are many things that black can do, and there are many things that red can do, and black would have fallen too far behind. And the main reason for this is because after black made this deceptive move, he chose correctly to retreat. Because black had a cramped position, and red will allow his position to become more open. And as can be seen, this is quite a desirable outcome. So therefore, the takeaway lesson in this board is that you have to count the number of moves very clearly and understand the situation. Sometimes retreating is the best option, but it should be done without losing any tempi. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video. If you like the work that I've been doing, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.